Don't forget to celebrate yourself. A few months ago, I got this award, and it says Certificate of Appreciation to Lawrence Harris. This certificate of appreciation is presented in grateful recognition of your invaluable support and dedication to Julia Ward Howe Elementary School from our fifth graders. We love and appreciate you. Thank you for speaking life into us. And even though I'm quite sure that this was like a mass printed thing for me and everyone else who speaks there, it is still something worth celebrating because it represents something bigger. It represents the impact I have on other people. It represents the fact that I'm, as the award says, speaking life into people. I'm not just going in there and just motivating people. I'm helping these kids to believe in themselves. I'm helping them to see that their current circumstances, how they grew up or where they come from, does not have to define them. But what this video is really going to be about is the fact that a lot of times we forget to truly celebrate ourselves, to truly sit down and reflect on our achievements and our thing that we've done. We celebrate our birthday, we celebrate holidays, we celebrate Super Bowls, we celebrate these graduations and these ceremonies, but very rarely do people, or at least myself, sit down and celebrate what we've created, what we have done, what we've made. And this is even more common among high entrepreneurs, like highly achieving people, or people who are like very mission driven. We'll be so focused on taking that next step forward and the next achievement and the next thing that we can do to get closer to that dream in our head that we'll be making these achievements. I will be me, for example. I'll be making a YouTube video. I'll be going on podcasts. I'll be speaking on stages, and I'll celebrate it for like 5 minutes. Then I'm on to the next thing. It's like, and I don't mean literally 5 minutes. I mean metaphorically. Like I spent a little bit of time celebrating. Like I'm like, dang, this is dope. Like, wow, I made that. I'm on to the next thing, and that can be a bit of a problem because you need to allow yourself the time and space to really reflect on how far you've come, how much you've just achieved. But you also don't want to spend too much time celebrating a thing. Like you don't want to spend 3 weeks celebrating the fact that you just went on a podcast for an hour. It's a great achievement. But you also don't want to spend like only a few moments like, wow, that was dope. On to the next thing. Um, you want to allow yourself the space to really appreciate what you've done. Because if you don't allow yourself the time, space, and freedom to appreciate your achievements, it's a lot harder to keep pushing because you'll kind of get lost in the pursuit of doing more, 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 and never celebrating it. Like, I will I spend the vast majority of my day and week working on my business, which I love what I do. Don't get me wrong. But there are times when you need to allow yourself to step away for a moment and appreciate and reflect and go, wow, look at what I've built. Look at what I've achieved. I've got this award. I have, business income. I have my books, which you can get in the description. I'm doing speaking engagements. I'm doing workshops. I'm doing some great stuff. Wow, Lawrence. Wow, Lawrence, you've really come a long way. And you need to allow yourself, and I'm speaking to myself actually on this one, you need to give yourself the time and space to reflect. Not like just for a few moments, but like really marinate in it. Like think to yourself, how in the world did I pull that off? And watch your YouTube video back, listen to your music, like fall in love with both the pursuit of the goal and the achievements, but don't tie your worth or your personal validation to the rewards that you get from other people. You need to make the pursuit of the goal a reward in and of itself. Like, you need to celebrate the fact that you've done it, but also celebrate the doing of the thing. Like, don't just celebrate, okay, I made $1 million. I finished a book. You want to celebrate that. Like, those are great achievements. But you also want to celebrate the daily steps. Like, dang, Lawrence, we sent 30 emails today. Dang, Lawrence, we made a YouTube video. Oh my gosh, Lawrence, keep it going. Wow, 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 wow. And you want to have like these mini celebrations every day that keep you motivated to move forward. Because as an entrepreneur, if you're in college and you're working towards like this degree to become a doctor or an engineer, if you're trying to get big muscles in the gym, if you're trying to just achieve anything really, by the laws of nature, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So the harder you want to achieve your goal, the more obstacles will arise by the laws of the universe, basically. Because the harder the goal is, the harder you have to want it. And the harder you want it, the harder that goal will become. But to achieve anything, you need an obstacle. It's like you can't have a hero without a villain. You can't have a knight in shining armor without a dragon. And the knight has to fall in love with saving the damsel in distress so badly that the knight is willing to fight a fire breathing dragon. And that dragon represents the obstacles, the challenges, the stress, the frustration. You have to go through that in order to achieve saving the damsel in distress, which is getting the life you want. But after you save the damsel in distress, you have to celebrate that. You're like, wow, I slayed the dragon. Life is great. But you also don't want to allow yourself to become lazy and like stagnant because I've made it. No, you need to celebrate, but also you need to have another dragon. It's maybe this is just me, but I feel most at peace when I have stressful things going on. Like I feel at peace when I have pressure on me. So I have to constantly keep this sense of pressure in some way, or I start feeling like chaotic. It's it's hard to explain this, but I feel calm when I have stressful things going on, and I feel stressed out when things are too calm because it's that pressure that gives me a reason to keep going. And if I don't have that pressure, it's like, where's my reason to keep going? And for me, what I've done is I don't want like these massive issues going on in my life. But that pressure is I want to provide for my family. I want to support the well-being of teens and young adults and help them improve their mental health. I want to, help the world. These are very big aspirations. They require a lot of effort. They require a lot of pursuit. They require a lot of video. They require a lot of learning, relearning, unlearning, trying new things, going to business seminars, spending money, investing in courses and whatnot. They require a lot of effort out of me. But it is that effort that I celebrate. I love both the thing I get, which is the celebration of the award, but I also love the work that is required of me. Like when I make these videos, I feel so calm because I have like this pressure, but I also know it's within the pressure that diamonds are made. With without the fire, without the hammer, without melting it down, you don't get the sword. And you have to grind down the sword. It's the pressure in the obstacles that make the award worth it. And you have to celebrate all of it. You had to fall in love with I got this award, I am this speaker, I'm a published author. You had to fall in love with that, but you also have to fall in love with the parts where you're like, how do I make a YouTube thumbnail? Okay, my YouTube thumbnails aren't working. Let's scrap everything and relearn it. Let's try this. Let's try that. Okay, how do I get my mailing address set up? Okay, let's go down to the Pennsylvania government website and figure out how to do that. Oh my gosh, how do I figure out how to file an LLC so that the IRS doesn't kick in my door? Okay, let's get that set up. Oh my gosh, how do I figure out how to set up a business bank account? Let's set that up. And it's these little things that are really stressful, but you had to fall in love with the grind and with getting the thing. Not just the big thing, but the many things within it. Like there are these little wins that happen every day. I remember when I went and flew out to Michigan for 3 days. I had to figure out like, okay, how am I going to buy my plane ticket? Okay, how am I going to get to the airport? Okay, how am I going to do this and how am I going to do that? And all these little things and where I'm going to stay. And it was I figured it all out. Like me, Mike, who ran the podcast, the Inner Circle, on air. Um, and his assistant Neil, who fantastic guy. Like me and that guy, we had such a great conversation in the car. Um, I had to figure out all of that, but within the stress, within the pressure of, I am now 800 miles away from my house. In a place I've never been, in a state I've never been. It's my first time flying. I'm meeting these people for the first time in person. I gotta figure out all these things, all this pressure. But I love that because within the obstacle is the reward. And to get the reward, you must go through the obstacle. And to get through the obstacle, you must fall in love with the pursuit. So, what I'm really trying to get at is don't just celebrate your financial achievements. Don't just celebrate your birthday. Don't just celebrate the holiday and the Christmas and the graduations and these things, but celebrate the challenges too. Because it's these challenges that allow you to get to the life you want. And to have challenges means you're working towards something. And the more you're working towards something, the more challenges shall arise. And the more challenges that you have, the more things there are to overcome. And the more things you overcome, the more you're able to get a bigger life. Nobody gets big muscles by lifting light weight. To get big muscles, you have to lift heavy weight. And if you want bigger muscles, now you got to lift even heavier weight. And if you want bigger muscle than that, you gotta lift the kind of weight that have you like making ugly faces and sweating and all that. So remember, celebrate yourself because if you don't celebrate yourself, if you don't celebrate the achievements, if you don't celebrate the even the small things too, like man, I posted my TikTok today. Good job, Lawrence. I sent my emails today. Good job, Lawrence. I got this award. Good job, Lawrence. I made a YouTube video. I did this. I did that. You have to celebrate yourself every day because if you don't learn to love every day, then you're not going to be able to keep pushing on because there will come a point where you're like, oh my gosh, the stress is unbearable. But if you remind yourself that within the pressure, is the diamonds. If you remind yourself that no calm winds don't make a skilled sailor, and you remind yourself that in order to have a sharp sword, you have to be melted down, hammered, grinded, dug up out the dirt, and like just burnt. You have to remind yourself to celebrate every part of it. Celebrate the good days, celebrate the bad days, because it's the darkness that teaches you how to appreciate the light. And it's the light that reminds you how far you have come from the darkness. And if you never have dark days, you'll never appreciate the light. And if you never have light days, you won't know how to keep pushing through the darkness because when it gets dark, you'll be able to remember there will be light at some point. There is never a storm that will last every single day. It's really easy to get stuck in the mentality that I'm just stuck here. It'll never get better. But on the other extreme, you're like, ooh, life is so fantastic. It'll never get bad. Life will humble you. Life will remind you that there will be good, there will be bad. And good and bad are really just your opinion. There are things that are tragedies. There are things that are like there is family deaths and whatnot. That just reminded me actually, when I was like, I think I was 10 or 11 at the time, and my grandpa passed away. I gave a speech at his funeral, and I started it off with, we're gathered here today not to cry and mourn, but to celebrate his life. It started off with something like that. It was really beautiful. And it was such a good speech that the pastor was like, I don't know how to follow that up. So, I've just always kind of had a gift for speaking. It just comes authentically. But you would think that I would be so lost for words in that moment because my grandpa literally just died. You would think that I'd be like crying and sobbing, which I did cry, but I also somehow just knew that within this moment, there is something good about this. That within the death, there is life. My mom was actually pregnant at the time. So I think that might have inspired it because, you know, I personally believe that when people die, they don't really die. I believe that they become like a part of everything, like their body is put in the ground and eventually the casket rots away and they become one with the dirt and their nutrients get spread to the grass and the trees and the birds and the animals and all that. So it's like this giant cycle of life. So death is the beginning of life and life is the beginning of death. And within the darkness of the womb, you are now brought into the light of the world. And eventually you leave the light of the world to return to the darkness of the mother earth. And you become one with like the nutrients and the dirt and all that, which then brings you back into the light of the world. And it's this constant cycle. I'm not even sure how we got on that tangent right there because this video started off about like celebrating the good and the bad and remembering to celebrate yourself because, at some point life is going to get hard. But if life never gets hard, you'll never be able to appreciate when life is easy because you don't have a comparison. My ex girlfriend was her parents were immigrants from Vietnam, and they immigrated here to get away from the war in Vietnam. So when they were growing up, like there were trees literally burning around them, people were getting executed. It was a literal war, and they were some of the happiest people I've ever met. Maybe it's like just a cultural thing because a lot of people. In my experience, I met a lot of immigrants from Southeast Asia because I like going fishing, and the place I go fishing has a market that has like a Southeast Asian market. So I get a lot of them, and most of them are immigrants who escaped wars, and they are very like calm people, like very calm. Sometimes they're very excited and happy, but for the vast majority of the time, they kind of have like this look on their face. And I'll talk to them sometimes. And what I've realized is that to them, things that we take for granted, they're very, very appreciative of. Like running water, a Toyota, a Honda Civic. Their hard time was literal war, literal crimes against humanity. But their good time is my children are able to go to school for free. I have food, water, and shelter. I have a family. I don't have to worry about my door getting kicked in. I don't have to worry about attack helicopters flying over my house. So, because of how hard their life once was, they're so appreciative and so calm of every single day because they know that it their life used to be so much worse than their problem that they have now. And one of the things that will keep you going in life is knowing that within all the hardships is beauty. Within the beauty, there is hard times. And within the hard times, there are good times. Because you'll reflect on it and be like, man, I overcame that. And then on the time when life is hard, you can look back and go, man, I can figure something out. I was able to figure that out. I can figure out something now. I was able to figure out how to go from the war and jungles of Vietnam. I'm not talking about me personally, I'm talking about my ex girlfriend's parents. They were able to figure out how to go from the war and jungles of Vietnam to now going all the way across the world and having to learn a new language and having to learn a new culture and having to learn the legal system and having to learn how to set up their businesses and all that to now their life is pretty darn good. So remember to celebrate yourself. Remember to celebrate the good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, all of it. And with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you would like to purchase my books, you can find those in the description, as well as getting a one-on-one call with me. Or if you're a podcast host, school principal, or run a youth-focused organization, you can contact me at lawrence@lawrenceharris.com for podcast bookings or speaking engagements. Have a good one.